Imagine yourself for a moment standing deep in the Siberian forests, a remote, inhospitable place where nature rules in absolute silence. Suddenly, the sky lights up with a blinding glow. The air starts to hum, and within seconds, a deafening roar shatters the calm, shaking the ground beneath your feet. It's as if the very sky has exploded. Trees fall as though crushed by a giant hand, and an invisible force sweeps through everything in its path. But the most unsettling part. When the noise dies down and the dust settles, there's nothing, no crater, no debris. Just desolation and a mystery that baffles anyone brave enough to investigate. What exactly happened that fateful morning in 1908 in Tunguska? What kind of power unleashed such a massive explosion that it was felt thousands of miles away, lit up the night skies, and left an invisible, yet unforgettable mark on history? What you're about to hear is one of Earth's greatest mysteries, a cosmic enigma that, more than a century later, still fascinates and terrifies in equal measure, the Tunguska event. Welcome to the Wild Worlds Files. The Tunguska explosion remains one of the most puzzling events in modern history. It occurred on the morning of June 30, 1908, when a devastating force shook the vast and remote Siberian region near the Tunguska River. In just a few seconds, an area of about 2,150 square kilometers was wiped out. Over 80 million trees were knocked down, as if an invisible hand had slammed them into the ground. But what makes this event even more eerie is that it didn't leave behind a crater, fueling theories and speculation for over a century. That morning, around 7:17 a.m., witnesses miles away saw a fireball streaking across the sky, followed by a series of explosions so powerful that the shockwaves shattered windows and knocked people off their feet. The sky filled with a blinding light, and the blast wave tore through everything in its path. Incredibly, no human casualties were reported, but the power of this explosion was unlike anything seen before. It's estimated that the energy released was between 3 and 5 megatons, 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb that destroyed Hiroshima in 1945. The most surprising and unsettling part is that there was no physical impact site. No crater. What had caused such destruction? Where did this devastating force come from? Scientists have been trying to solve the mystery for decades, but Tunguska continues to defy any simple explanation. The force of the explosion not only destroyed the Siberian forests, its impact was recorded by seismic stations all over Eurasia. Airwaves from the blast were detected as far away as Germany, Denmark, Croatia, the United Kingdom, and even more distant places like Washington, D.C. It's believed that in some places, the blast wave reached the equivalent of a 5.0 earthquake on the Richter scale, as if the very earth trembled in response to this mysterious force. But what was even more unnerving happened in the nights following the event. The skies over Europe and Asia began to glow in an unusual way. There were reports from Sweden and Scotland that people were able to take photographs at midnight under this ghostly light. What had caused this strange glow from the heavens? Scientists believe it was the result of sunlight refracting through ice particles high in the atmosphere, formed at incredibly low temperatures after the explosion. Curiously, this phenomenon was recreated years later by space shuttles. In the United States, the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory at Mount Wilson in California noticed a drop in atmospheric transparency for months. It was as if the air was filled with dust particles, blocking the light, like a dark, invisible veil covering the atmosphere. Over the years, many explanations have been proposed for the Tunguska event, each more mysterious than the last. The most widely accepted theory suggests that it was caused by the mid-air explosion of a meteoroid or comet fragment that disintegrated before reaching the ground, releasing all its energy at an altitude of about 5 to 10 kilometers. This type of airburst occurs when a rocky object enters the atmosphere at high speed, creating such intense pressure that the object can't hold together and bursts into countless pieces. Others suggest the object may have been a comet fragment, made mostly of ice and dust. Since comets are composed of more volatile materials, they could have vaporized before hitting the ground, possibly explaining the lack of a crater. But not everyone is convinced by this explanation. Some more speculative theories mention scenarios that seem straight out of science fiction. From antimatter to the collision of a small black hole, and even the explosion of an alien spacecraft, these ideas have been thrown into the mix. While these theories capture the imagination, they lack strong scientific backing. It wasn't until 1927, nearly 2 decades later, that the first scientific expedition, led by Russian mineralogist Leonid Kulik, arrived at the impact site. Kulik expected to find meteorite fragments or clear evidence of a crater. But what he found left him baffled. There was no crater. Instead, he discovered a vast area of trees knocked down in a radial pattern, as if they had been pushed outward by an explosion in the sky. Later studies didn't uncover significant amounts of extraterrestrial material. The idea that the object had completely disintegrated in the atmosphere seemed plausible, but the lack of conclusive evidence left the mystery wide open. The Tunguska event is a reminder that space can harbor unpredictable dangers. While many aspects of this mysterious event have been explained, the full enigma remains unsolved. What really happened at Tunguska? Was it a warning that Earth isn't alone in the vast and mysterious cosmos? One thing is certain, the Tunguska impact continues to inspire awe and fear. Could it happen again? The answer, like many questions surrounding the Tunguska event, remains shrouded in mystery. Please subscribe as it helps me to create more content like this. See you in the next file of the Wild Worlds Files. Thank you.